Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
James sent me a note and said, Steve, check out this story from flyingmag.com. And I'll admit, I don't check out flyingmag.com very often, but I'm always fascinated by stories involving airplanes and airports and so on. And this is not good that this situation exists, but the FBI is now going after laser attacks on aircraft. And I remember hearing about this a long time ago, people shining lasers at airplanes near airports. And it's a crazy thing to do because of the fact it's like a federal offense. And trust me, if they catch somebody doing this, they're going to want to make an example out of them. So 2 airports in Washington state are being targeted with new rewards. Meg Godlewski wrote this. She says the FBI is offering up to $10,000 cash for information leading to the arrest and conviction of people involved in laser incidents on aircraft in Washington state. According to the agency, pilots on approach to SeaTac and Spokane have reported a marked increase in the number of laser incidents. King TV, the NBC affiliate in Seattle, quotes the FAA as saying there were 107 laser incidents for Washington state between January and March. Just a 3-month period, 107 reported. So when an aircraft is targeted by lasers, the cockpit is filled with the blinding light, which can incapacitate pilots and compromise the landing. The FBI has identified neighborhoods where the attacks are coming from, but it's kind of hard to narrow it down beyond that. In Seattle, there have been laser incidents over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different places. These neighborhoods are under the approach and departure path of SeaTac. In Spokane, laser incidents reported from 4 different neighborhoods. So it's not just one person doing all of this at either airport. The FBI does not think the incidents in the 2 cities are connected, and they're working with local law enforcement and asking for the public's help to identify and locate the people responsible for the attacks. And I'm betting that if they catch the people, it's going to be young people going, "Oh, I didn't think it was that serious. I just thought it was funny." In 2012, a federal statute was passed making it a felony to knowingly direct a laser pointer's beam at an aircraft, whether it's commercial, private, or military, or to shine the laser in the flight path. So you can't even say, "Oh, I wasn't trying to hit the plane with it. I was just shining in the general direction." If you're convicted of such an incident, you can face a federal fine of up to $250,000 and 5 years in prison. 5 years in prison and $250,000. The FBI has dozens of pages of updates on laser attacks involving aircraft around the country. FAA is also keeping track of the number of laser strikes, noting that pilots reported 12,840 in 2024. 12,840. Agency also levies fines and laser attacks of up to $11,000 per violation and up to $30,000 for multiple events. So it's a very, very serious thing, and I'm sure that the people doing it are just being stupid. I remember when laser pointers first became widely available and going to the movie theater and seeing a laser dot going around in the screen until presumably somebody sitting nearby said, "Hey, put that away, knucklehead." But that's different. That wasn't life-threatening. It was annoying, but it wasn't life-threatening. And I've heard of other stories of people doing things with these, but this is so like 1990s, I think, on some level. But the fact that it's happening, and these numbers are what frighten me. Although, quite frankly, there's 2 sets of numbers that frighten me. One is what happens to you if you get convicted of this, but just how many of these have been happening. 3-month period, just in the state of Washington, 107 reported incidents. And then, like I said, 12,000 nationwide in last year. 12,000 in the last year. And then, like I said, a 5-year prison sentence and up to $250,000 in fines. And, I know some people are probably going to say, hey, this is overblown. How serious could it possibly be? Go online and check out the various websites and channels devoted to pilots and flying. Pilot Debrief is one of my favorite channels on YouTube. And it's a guy, extremely qualified guy to speak about flying. And he deconstructs airplane incidents, mishaps. And the thing about it is that landing an aircraft is something that we take as, just a routine, for granted thing. Like, oh, yeah, we're going to go fly someplace. But landing an aircraft is already tricky enough. And it is already so dangerous that the last thing I want to have happen is something disruptive and distracting in the cockpit, even if it's just an annoyance. I don't want somebody annoying my pilot while he's trying to land the plane that I'm on, okay? And don't forget, it's not just this plane, because if the plane has an incident of some sort, it might happen that they hit something on the ground So the idea that somebody is just screwing around with the pilots as they're coming into land, that's a very serious thing. So we'll see what happens. I hope they catch somebody, because quite often it only takes them catching somebody and making an example out of them that will discourage copycats. But like I said, I'm extremely disappointed that this is still happening in this day and age. And I've heard so many stories over the years about incidents like this, but quite often you'd think, oh, they're isolated, they're one-offs. And so right about now, the fact that they've narrowed it down to neighborhoods and the numbers are so large that I wouldn't be surprised if they're now doing things more focused on trying to catch these people. And the last thing you ever want to be doing is something where the FBI has decided to come looking for you. You don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen. So I know I've got some pilots in the audience. One of my brothers is a pilot, and I've flown a lot myself. I'm not a pilot. I am not a pilot, but I have an immense amount of respect for people who are. In fact, a very good friend of mine, his little brother, who I've met, but I'm not as good friends with him as I am with his older brother. But his little brother works at the NTSB. And I've seen him on TV in a documentary talking about an investigation he's involved in. And I look up and, hey, I know him. Yeah, sure enough. And there's his name right there. So, but he was doing crash investigations. And as far as we know, there have been no crashes here. But again, somebody's trying to land a plane with people on board, and somebody on the ground is messing with them using a laser pointer. So that's bad. That's bad. So James, thanks for sending this. I hope the FBI catches somebody. They throw the book at him. Meg Godlewski wrote this for flyingmag.com. FBI goes after laser attacks on aircraft, and those numbers nationally and even just the one state are shocking. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. If you think you're a person of some influence, try ordering somebody else's dog around.